Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Marvel Snap video. I literally just got out of the shower, but the patch notes came out, which is awesome. So token shop updates. Weekly spotlight with a new series 5 cards release will be. Okay, yeah, I don't really care about that. Don't really care about this either. Okay, so just a couple of things, nothing super different there. Series drops are pretty huge. Series 5 to Series 4, I don't think most people care about. Ghost, Stature, and MODOK are dropping. Pretty normal. Series 4 to 3 is huge, though. Shuri, Bast, Valkyrie, Super Skrull, Black Panther. But Shuri, Bast, and Valkyrie dropping to Series 3 is huge. You can pick them up with your free weekly claim. I've been saving my caches, and I've been saving my, free pool 3 cards specifically for that. I'm going to pick up Valkyrie, but that's awesome. Players that reach Infinite will only match against other Infinite rank players. That's awesome. I know a lot of people complain about that. It's more just for bots for me, but I know a lot of people that are climbing don't like facing Infinite players. Collection level track has been expanded. Sure, don't really care. Balance updates. Okay. Card updates. Shuri. This is probably the biggest one. Previous 4-2 on reveal, double the power of the next card you play. Update 4-2 on reveal. If you play your next card here, double its power. We considered a number of changes to Shuri, but they all tended to ruin her current decks. Some even theoretically risked making a new monster with different parts. That's not a great risk to run with balancing a problematic strong card. The change we're making today may seem small and subtle, but we expect it to be impactful and retain the same flow of play for our existing decks with a consistent goal in our balance philosophy. This nerf removes Cosmo's protective capacity for her target, making single card answers like Valkyrie easier to aim, and indirectly buffs lane control elements like Professor X. We're taking a risk here, and the nerf could leave Shuri still a strength outlier. If so, we'll react quickly. Okay, I don't think this is honestly that huge of a change to Shuri. It does matter for Cosmo. It doesn't matter for armor at all. I guess you can still Valkyrie. I think that's fine. We'll have to wait and test, honestly, is the biggest thing. I'm not super huge about that change. I've said a lot on stream that I feel bad for the developers because Shuri is really hard to balance. If you make Shuri, it's so easy to break Shuri or make her totally garbage, unplayable. And this is kind of an in-between where you're not really changing Shuri that much, but maybe just changing her enough, and with the Red Skull nerfs and stuff like that, it's fine. So we'll see how this plays out. I am excited to see how this goes. I think it's a nice medium ground, but if Shuri's still annoying and super prevalent, they'll react quickly, so I think that's fine. Wish it was a little bit more. It does kind of stop the Cosmos shenanigans, I guess, because you can't, Cosmo Shuri, or, you can't play your Red Skull in the Cosmo path, basically, but you can. I guess that makes Taskmaster works too, because you can't play Red Skull or Taskmaster in the Cosmo path, but you can still play them both under armor, so you still have one lane of protection. But now you have Valkyrie, and Valkyrie doesn't get stopped, so that might be huge. And Valkyrie's now Series 3, so a lot more people have access to it, so maybe that's good. Previous 5-3 on reveal, yeah, we know what Leech does. Update 5-3 at the start of turn 6, remove all abilities from cards in your opponent's hand. So it's not a reveal, it's not an ongoing. It's never been our goal for Leech to be a heavily played card, and we understand that's been a frustration lately. When it's happening, it really means a finisher is generically strong against pure power, like Leech, Leader, and/or a card can play Leech earlier than turn 5 too often, like Lockjaw Thanos. We've tried in the past to weaken the stronger cards in those decks, but it's been a balance and design obstacle. Thus, we've decided to remove the early Leech from the equation. Leech is designed to counter some powerful endgame cards and combinations, like a unique angle without any setup, which is important to have around in the event those decks begin to overperform. This change should let him fulfill that role when necessary without ever making him a fundamental piece of the metagame. So I think this is overall a good change. Now Lockjaw can't flip up a Leech. You can't wave into Leech, which is really frustrating. You can't Electro into Leech, which is really frustrating. And Leech has to stay in play, which doesn't really matter because it's not really easy to remove Leech, but I do think that's overall a good change. Leech is still good at stopping Death Wave, which I think was the primary thing Leech was designed for, was stopping Death and She-Hulk on the final turn, and Leech still does that. So if you play Leech turn 5, it's no different. It's now just Leech, you can't get a turn 3 Leech dumped in your face, which is kind of ridiculous. And you can't get Lockjaw into Leech, which is also kind of ridiculous. So I think that's a fine change. I think that's totally reasonable. I like that change. I think that's a good middle ground for Leech, still doing what Leech was intended to do, and it also is just very it doesn't really change anything. You know what I mean? You never really Cosmo to Leech. You know what I mean? Okay, Lockjaw. After you play a card here, swap it with a card in your deck. Update 3-2. After you play a card here, swap it with a card in your deck once per turn. Lockjaw is a fun and exciting card, but each trigger of this good boy basically draws a card and generates up to 6 energy at random. There's a lot of variance to have in multiple competitive decks. As we add cards, new and improved ways to sidestep Lockjaw's risk will also become available. Since we believe the most powerful and frustrating use of Lockjaw's triggers is triggering multiple times in a turn, often with a snap along the way, we're changing that. Limiting Lockjaw to one swap each turn forces the player to develop their board without letting them sprint ahead or spring a late surprise. This will make Lockjaw simpler to play against and less potent in decks, insanely playing lots of cheap cards like Thanos. I feel like this is a bad change because it's like only good, like the only Lockjaw deck that really did it multiple times. I mean, I guess it stops Thanos, but like this really only like hurts Thanos, and it just hurts the other fair Lockjaw deck that played Wasp, because you can't like Mjolnir out. Like you can't play Thor, Lockjaw, Mjolnir, or like Thor into like Lockjaw, Wasp, into Jane Foster, and then cycle out your 0-drops. Like it's really only good like at stopping Thanos, and it kind of just kills the other versions of the Lockjaw deck. So like I kind of get what they're doing here, but like the Lockjaw Thanos decks are just still gonna play like one stone in their turn, and the stones are still gonna draw a card, and the stones are still gonna do all the like annoying stuff with Lockjaw. And like they still like I guess you can't Space Stone Lockjaw as easily as you could before and stuff like that, so maybe this is a good change. But it kind of just feels like this is like stopping the Thanos chain. This is like stopping the Thanos, but it's like just killing any other Lockjaw deck, because like why would you play Lockjaw now, you know? I'm not really crazy about that, honestly. I like Lockjaw a lot, and I feel like that kind of kills a lot of Lockjaw decks. And like hurts the Thanos decks for sure, but like I don't know, it's kind of like Quinjet. Like, why is Thanos continuing to abuse these cards to the point where these other cards have to get nerfed, and like Thanos just didn't get nerfed? Like the stones are just too strong, right? Is basically what this is saying. But whatever. Okay, but like that's my biggest thing, I guess, is like Quinjet got nerfed, and Quinjet didn't need to be nerfed right now, and maybe it's for future design risks. Lockjaw gets nerfed now, and maybe Lockjaw deserved to get nerfed because Lockjaw was really busted in the Thanos deck. Maybe Lockjaw's the problem there. But like now any other like honest Lockjaw deck that plays like Thor and all these other cards is kind of killed, which is lame. And like Thanos is just still really good because all of the stones are basically like a 2-energy card, sometimes better. And they just get to keep doing that. But now they're like just tools are worse, but all these other cards get stuck in the crossfire, which I think is kind of lame. I don't know. Okay, America Chavez. Previous 6/9, you always draw this card on turn 6 and not before. Starts on the bottom of your deck. Draw this card on turn 6. So this is just so Yondu doesn't kill Chavez, right? Previously, if you were about to draw Chavez, you would just draw your next card instead. It means in the case of the game, she's a lot more likely to be the top card of your deck. Thus far has been largely unimportant outside of Yondu, but it does restrict our ability to print cards that interact with the top of your deck. We expect this update to have little impact on America Chavez functionality overall. Yeah, this doesn't really change anything with Chavez except Yondu and I guess future design spaces. I think that's totally fine. Jubilee. Previous 4/1 on reveal, add a card from your deck to this location. Update 4/1 on reveal, add the top card of your deck to this location. Okay. Some of our players may remember a time where Jubilee had this ability. Back then, Jubilee would often be a 4/10 as she'd pull America Chavez very consistently. We decided at the time to change Jubilee's effect instead of America Chavez, as the former was a much simpler change to communicate. However, we're looking to design cards that interact at the top of your deck in the future, so we're bringing this design back too. We expect this to have the impact on Jubilee for this time being. So this really doesn't change anything about Jubilee at all, but it allows Jubilee to interact with other cards in the future, which I think is exciting. Chavez, that change doesn't matter at all, honestly. It kind of is like worse for some decks, I guess, because like honestly, like Yondu hitting your Chavez was often like pretty good for you. But it really doesn't matter. And now this just like, this odds really doesn't change Jubilee, but it also could mean like some cooler stuff could happen in the future. Oh god, I see Leader as the next card. Okay, Leader. Previous 6/7 on reveal, copy all cards your opponent played to the location right up here. Yeah, this card was terrible. Update 6/2 on reveal, copy the enemy cards with the highest power played this turn, but on your side. Okay. Develop requirements. We are clearly too harsh on Leader with the previous nerf. Yeah, and we've dismaying the action became a go-to example for how ruinous a nerf can be. Our balanced philosophy is to preserve as much playability as we reasonably can when weakening cards, and we didn't succeed here previously. With this change, we're aiming to bring his strength back up to a playable card spot for a 6-cost card, but we will avoid the oppressive impact his original form had. We have erred on a cautious side with his power for now, because some previous defenses against the original Leader, such as playing weaker cards before a strong one, no longer apply. Copy the enemy card with the highest power played this turn, but on your side. So that's like, good in the Sandman deck, probably. Uh, and I think that's about all I can think of. I mean, I'm sure there's like gonna be a leader deck that spreads up, but I think that's like mostly fine. I mean, so like leader is just like more power than your biggest 6-drop, but like the bounce decks are pretty popular right now. The Shuri deck is actually like, this is a good counter to Shuri because now Shuri gets punished, which I kind of like actually. Um, because like they play a Taskmaster or Red Skull last turn of the game, and you just also get 18 power, but you get 20 power because you have leader. So I think that's actually pretty good at like hurting the Shuri meta. But maybe this makes the Sandman decks too good is like something I see of. It's like I think this goes into Sandman, and Sandman's already kind of annoying, but it's like kind of like a catch-22. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Overall, I like that change. I think that's fine. I mean, I like it because it's bad against Shuri. I'm worried it will make Sandman decks more popular. And Sandman decks are really boring to play against. But overall, I think that's fine. Tapping duplicate kings to play when the card's... Yeah. And that's all, huh? I mean, so pretty interesting patch. Honestly, a lot of stuff I wasn't expecting there. I was definitely expecting the Shuri change. The Leech change, I think, is good. So I like both of these changes. Shuri might not be enough, but I think it's a good start. And as they said, they'll react accordingly. And quickly if they have to. Leech change is fine. I think the Leech change is actually very good. I like the Shuri change just because it makes Shuri worse. Lockdown change I'm a little sad about. Chavez change doesn't really change anything. Jubilee change doesn't really change anything. The leader change is interesting. I'm worried how that will affect Sandman decks, but I think overall that is fine. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Definitely an interesting patch. Not at all what I was expecting, honestly. I was expecting different stuff. I guess I didn't know what to expect, but like Chavez, Jubilee, and leader being changed is very interesting. You know, they're gonna have more over-the-air patches in the future to like further kind of develop stuff. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought in the comments. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and expect some more Snap videos coming soon.